Alright guys, so today I had watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the third and closing chapter of James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. So coming off of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, which I think is one of the worst, not just MCU movies. I think it's one of the worst comic book movies. Heck, not even one of the worst. I think it's one of the worst movies ever made. Honestly, like to be completely honest, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is one of the worst movies ever made. So coming off of that, I went into this kind of hoping that I would lighten my spirits because I loved this movie when I first saw it. But you never know. Opinions change. You know, people evolve. People go through. Change is inevitable. Change is inevitable. I love this movie. I love this movie so much. I still think I like the first movie more, but this is a really great film. I love this movie. One of my top 5 in the MCU for sure. I love the fact that this is a movie that focuses on Rocket. Rocket to me is one of not just my favorite character. It's not just my favorite member of the Guardians, but he's also one of my favorite MCU characters. Absolutely, easily 100% one of my favorite MCU characters. He is a character that is really cool and really badass, but there's also a tragic side to him. You know, there's not a it's not, you know, he's not just being a jerk just because I don't want to be, you know, he's hiding a really dark part of himself, and that dark part of himself that he hates, you know. And I love that, and I love the fact that this movie explores where that came from. You know, we see him getting experimented on from the time he was a little baby raccoon all the way up until, Lila, Teefs, and Floor die, you know. And by the way, Rocket, Teefs, Floor go now. Like, that scene is so tragic and still haunts me every time I watch the movie. And is that moment where the guards come in and they're shooting at Rocket. Rocket picks up the gun and shoots both of the guards, and then turns around and sees Teefs and Floor lying dead, and just that look on his face, just just so tragic and so heartbreaking, but so beautifully well done. This movie's funny, it's hilarious, you know, but this, everything he does drives me crazy. I thought I told you I was wrong. Shut up. Seriously, I want to strangle him. I'm gonna go to jail for murder. I swear. How'd you guys get here so fast? Like, I just love that whole section where they're sneaking onto the orgoscope and trying to get the file for Rocket's DNA, and you know, whoever it was that you were in love with, it's not me. It's probably it sounds more like her. What? Don't be ridiculous. Knock it off! I just didn't realize how black your eyes were. They were replaced by my father as a method of torture. He picked a pretty set. It's just like, the humor just works. It works. And that's what James Gunn does so well as a writer and director. He's able to balance that tone of, yes, we're going to have serious, dark, tragic moments like Rocket's backstory, but we're also going to balance it out with some really fun humor. You know, like Peter Quill being somewhat of a jerk. You know? I love that. And the soundtrack. Oh, look, I love the first movie more. The first movie is my favorite. But this easily is my favorite soundtrack. Of the 3 movies, this has my favorite soundtrack. You know, just that opening scene where it's playing Creep in the back, the acoustic version of Creep with Rocket walking through nowhere. And then I remember watching this movie for the first time, and the second that song started playing, I was like, Like my heart just like hit because I was like, this is such a perfect song for this opening scene, and totally sets the tone for what we're about to get. And then ending it off with such a hopeful song with the dog days are over. Just that lovely rendition, and then other songs in there like San Francisco, Badlands. And then we get Come and Get Your Love comes back into the fold again. Like, that is so great. Just so many great moments. And the High Evolutionary is one of the best MCU villains ever, in my opinion. He's so great. You understand his motivation, and he is such an evil psychopath because he honestly believes he's saving the world. He's saving the universe. He honestly thinks he's making it better. And he's got this evil intellect of thinking, this evil way of thinking, that he's willing to go so far as to torture animals just to perfect the universe. And I think that's what makes a great villain, is when they're doing all these horrendous evil things, but there's a motivation behind it. There's, you don't want him, you don't root for him, you don't condone him. In fact, in this movie, they do a really good job of making you really hate him. But they also do a good job of making you understand what his motivation is. What did Kang want to do in Quantumania? What was Kang's motivation? What was his reasoning for doing what he did in Quantumania? Can anybody tell me? Anybody? Anybody? Can anybody tell me that? Huh? Didn't think so. And I think that's just what we have, like, just such a great villain. This movie has it all. It's got a great story, great characters. The dialogue is great. The music is great. The visual effects are fantastic. The way it ends with all the Guardians going on their own separate path is so fantastic. The post-credit scenes are even great. I love the 2 post-credit scenes. Seeing Rocket leading a brand new team of Guardians, that's awesome. And then, I'm sorry, but the second one still cracks me up. I don't care. Just that elongated, like, after the scene ends, you just continue to hear the slurping of the cereal. It's just so great. So great. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. One of my favorite films of the MCU. And honestly, probably the last great MCU movie we're going to talk about in a little bit, because, well, right, we got, up next is the Marvels, and then we're going to jump out of the MCU again, like we did for Spider-Man. We're going to jump out of the MCU again, and we're going to talk about Logan, Deadpool 2, and then jump back into the MCU timeline for Deadpool and Wolverine. So yeah, you have that to look forward to, guys. We are really speeding through the MCU films because we're gonna make it to Fantastic Four. We're gonna make it to Fantastic Four. Now, here's the other thing I will admit to you guys right now. As far as my rewatch for Captain America: Brave New World and Thunderbolts, I still haven't fully 100% decided if I'm going to do it or not. I still haven't 100% decided if I'm going to actually go through with reviewing those two. We're doing a rewatch and a review for those two because I just did out of the theater reactions for both of those movies earlier this year. So there's really not a real desire for me to want to actually review them again. I'll watch them again, no problem. I'll at least Thunderbolts. I'll watch Thunderbolts again, no problem. But there's not really a drive for me to want to do like a video like this, because the interesting thing about everything that I've reviewed so far is this: I've had a good enough distance from when the movie came out to now. I don't have that with Thunderbolts and Captain America right now. So I might not do one for Captain America: Brave New World or Thunderbolts. But who knows? You never know. Maybe a year from now, I'll decide to do it. But for now, I still haven't made a final decision yet, though. But that will do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys liked the video, please make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And, yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.